Brian, roll call, please.
Gasson. Hauser.
Here.
Jones.
Here.
Bachman.
Yes.
Hardin.
Here.
Kenjic.
Here.
Murphy.
Here.
Stone.
Here.
Okay, thank you. We have a quorum. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, thank you. Before we begin, I want to welcome, we have a new member on the Planning Commission. This is Mayor Deb Jones. Mayor, would you introduce yourself to the panel and to the crowd, please?
I am Mayor Debbie Jones. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be part of this new role, and I'm excited about what we can get done in this next year.
Thank you.
Thank you for welcoming me.
Okay, thank you, of course. And we have a vacancy that I believe that applications are being submitted. Is that correct? And so if you're interested in planning commissions, please continue. I suspect that we'll make, or you'll make a decision at the next
Yeah.
month or so.
Everybody, I think, will call and interview and,
Yep.
make the
Okay,
decision.
wonderful. And I also want to thank Commissioner Clauser, okay, City Council Member Clauser, for her service on Planning Commission. She did a fantastic job, and I know that she's going to continue to be very involved in planning to the extent possible on City Council. Okay, with that being said, I'd like to move right to line item number 3, public comment. Is there anyone who would like to make a comment on an issue that is not on the agenda? Anyone who would like to come up at this time? None being in the crowd. Is Rose on?
Yes, you should.
Yes, no one's online.
Okay, no one? Okay, having no public comment, well, let's go right to number 4, approval of the minutes. This is 4A, consideration of the minutes of the regular meeting of Wednesday, November 5th, 2025.
Mr. Vice
Yes.
Chairman, I'll move to approve the regular meeting minutes from November 5th with 3 clerical corrections. Item 1, City Manager Banda was not present. He was out sick. Item 5, public hearings A, there was no stipulation as part of Commissioner Clauser's motion. That wasn't quite completed in the minutes and was addressed earlier in this discussion by Attorney Crott. And then item 6B, 215 South Main Street. I thought it was an important moment when the applicant stated that they prepared and provided everything the city administration requested. So if we could get that in the minutes, I think that's important.
That was, you said 6B?
6B.
On my notes here, maybe it's 1129 North Main.
Oh, excuse me, 5B.
5B,
Sorry.
okay. I just want to make sure we're
5A and
consistent.
5B.
Okay? 5A, 5B. Okay, so motion by Mr. Bachman, subject to those 3 caveats. Is there support?
So moved.
Support by Commissioner Stone. Discussion? Brian, roll call, please.
Hauser.
Yes.
Jones.
I was not here, so do I still vote on that?
Yep.
I can still vote on the minutes, even though I wasn't here for the minutes? Okay, all right, yes.
Bachman.
Yes.
Hardin.
Yes.
Kenjic.
Yes.
Murphy.
Yes.
Stone.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's go to line item 5A. This is a public hearing notice. This is consideration of 329 South Main, a request for payment in lieu of parking. Mr. Banda.
Thank you. I'm going to pitch it for Jeremy on this one. So Jeremy prepared on October 7th a memo to you all. You heard this at the last meeting. This is the conversion of the former Soul Sisters building. Mr. Clash, which I saw in the back, purchased the building and looking at 2 different changes. So it was the Whitaker office building on the 2nd floor. So that was calculated for parking, excuse me, at 1 to 3. Here we go. Residual coated. Excuse me. You get a tickle and there's nothing you can do.
It's all right.
I know we did.
That's all right. Smoke break. So just relax for a second.
Look at that.
I've got one too.
Oh, do you,
Same bag of mine.
do you need some, Nick,
Laura left a couple of cough drops on there.
Oh, thanks.
if you need more? Okay,
All right, so anyway, the building was purchased, the first floor is going to be a pretzel place. And Peter can explain the tenant there. So that's going to be taken at retail. If you remember the planning commission years ago, so we don't want office on the first floor anymore on Main Street between University and Second Street. So upstairs, proposed to be a Pilates studio. The way we calculate parking for a Pilates studio is capacity determined by the fire department, then one, plus one for an employee. So that turned out to be an equal match to what it was with office. So second floor is covered. The first floor went from retail, 1 to 200, to a restaurant without alcohol. Even though they're not cooking, it's not a formal restaurant, that's our calculation, that's what we call it. So that's that 1 to 150. So that required 2 extra spaces, more than they had. So David Custer, who's here, our parking enforcement supervisor, David went out, evaluated this. Behind us is the deck. I mean, you saw the study, there's hundreds of spaces at all times, basically. There was one day, I think David and I looked at, it was during, I think, Big Bright Light, or, yeah, that it was full, but staff is totally in support of a waiver of 2 spaces for that particular ask. And tonight, you guys, last week, you scheduled the public hearing for this evening for that pay in lieu. You would be required to make that payment prior to getting a certificate of occupancy, because it's less than 10, so it requires full payment if approved tonight. So it's pretty straightforward, and that's basically it.
okay. Before I open the public comment, or public hearing, any questions for Mr. Banda? And we received updated parking calculations, correct? Okay.
David could go over.
Do you
the
mind
details
just
if you
very
want.
briefly? Yes.
Yeah, so I think in your packet, you may have received West Platform Parking Study from July. And it holds pretty true still until November on numbers in that deck. If you look at.
Is your
this-
mic on? Okay.
Sorry. So if you look at, there's contract are the people that buy monthly permits. Transient is everyone that comes and visits the city. So facility count can get off, and it can get off because maybe the gate stayed open and the 2 cars got out, and then it reset itself and figured out it needs to be down. So, so these aren't exactly accurate, but they're pretty close, within 5 cars, I would say. As you can see, you know, on the 10th, at 1 o'clock, there was 98 cars in the facility there. You know, if you went into like the 16th, the most was at 5 p.m. with 117. There's 297 spaces in the west deck, so looking at this, I don't see an issue. That study from July was for DeMarco's for 30 spaces. I believe that was approved, and now they're not doing it, so we're giving those 30 spaces back.
That 30 was for the upstairs that they were planning on doing, so that's not happening anymore?
That's good. Yeah, quick update. So Mark came in, structurally, it came in more than $1 million, more than he anticipated. And he had done a lot of work with the architect, so he was very upset. So he's probably going to come back in the spring, come back to Planning Commission to look at taking the existing awnings down, putting the garage door style, like Tularoo has, so they can open it up and make it more fresh air. But, so that would require him to come back, but that would require 0 extra parking, so we just netted out 30 parking spaces.
Okay, so we got those 30 back then? Okay. All right, based on that, any questions for Mr. Custer? No? Okay, so with that being said, it is 7:09. I'm going to open up the public hearing. If anyone who would like to make a comment on this issue, please come on up to the lectern. Rose, anyone online?
No one's online.
Okay, I will close it at 7:10. Commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, would you mind if Mr. Clark?
Oh, no, not at all.
So he can talk about the
Sure.
tenants, just so we know who they are.
Sure, absolutely.
Peter, if you want to come up. Yeah, just talk a little bit about who the tenants are, just so they know. Thanks.
council members.
Hi.
Congratulations, new role.
Thank you.
So unfortunately, our business partner wasn't able to show up today, but we can answer any questions to the best of our abilities.
You just talked about what the first floor is, what the concept of the pretzels.
first floor of the
Yeah,
So the first floor is gonna be obviously pretzels, pretzels, candy, and like we're trying to incorporate a family-friendly place too. So host like events there, couples, families, bake your own pretzels. Something new that I think the city's missing.
Sure. Okay. Commissioners, any questions for the applicant?
Everything that's bent was nothing that's like crazy bent, anything like that. Pretty easy and straightforward.
Sure. Well, your architect was here last month and did a really good job of talking about the project and telling us what was going to be in there. So he did a very fine job educating us. But if there's any other questions, please. Commissioners, none? All right. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Okay, so Commissioners, the action before us would be a motion to approve the payment in lieu of parking consistent with what is in our packet.
I'll make a motion.
Okay.
So moved.
Mr.
Support.
Kinzick, motion, I'm sorry, who's
Support.
Support by Mr. Bachman. Okay, discussion? Brian, roll call, please.
Hauser,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Bachman,
Yes.
Hardin,
Yes.
Kenjic,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Stone.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, let's move on to line item 6A. That's consideration of 134 South Main. This is site plan review and a request for public hearing. Mr. City Manager.
Yep, Mr. Jackson's here, yep. All the rest of the meeting, it's John, and I'll be quiet so I don't cough.
Okay, before we begin, though, I am going to either ask you, is Mr. Kratt on the phone online?
Yes.
Okay, so I need to make a disclosure. My law firm did the purchase agreement for this property. I had no involvement in it, but full transparency, if you want me to recuse myself, I'm more than happy to. And if that's the case, I wanted Jeff to maybe comment yes or no. Again, it makes no difference to me whatsoever.
Mr. Crott?
Is the transaction closed?
It is. And one of my law partners did it. I had no involvement in it, and I didn't know about it until I actually saw the packet, and I recognized the name.
In my opinion, it wouldn't be a required recusal. The transaction's done. There's no influence that Councilmember Chair Hauser would have in this one. So I would be comfortable if he participated.
Okay, is it okay if I poll the rest of the commissioners, though? I want to make sure that everyone's on board with that. So I guess if there's an objection to me staying based on that disclosure, please let me know, and we can talk about it again. I don't want anything to disrupt or interfere with the applicant's process.
Objection.
None?
I'll take city attorney's
Okay,
advice.
all right, and that's fine. Okay, so based on that, thank you, Mr. Kratt, then I wanted to make that disclosure out there in the public. So, Mr. Jackson, the floor is yours.
Oh, great, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much. Let me get my microphone over here.
Hello.
Okay. So as was mentioned, this is the reuse and renovation of a 3,200 square foot building on Main Street south of 2nd Street. As Vidya points out, offices on the first floor are permitted south of 2nd Street. So the use is definitely a permitted use and will be a nice addition here. In terms of the setbacks, there's no required front setback. The building complies with the rear setbacks. The building's non-conforming with respect to the south setback, but the north setback, they're proposing a structure, a veranda structure that encroaches further into the setback than the existing building, and that may require a variance. We're looking into that now, but that's something that they may have to do moving forward. In terms of access, they're going to have access both from Main Street as well as from the alley. Vidya mentions that the striping hasn't been shown. I saw it in some of the site plans, but not all of them, so when they come back, they'll have to make sure the striping's on all of the plans. In terms of parking, based on our analysis, it looks like they're required to provide 11 spaces. That's based on one space for 300 square feet for office use. They show 10 on the plan, so according to our calculations, they're one short. We asked them to provide the calculations on their plan rather than just a summary. so we can find out where the discrepancy is and address that before they come back to the planning commission at the next meeting. As I mentioned, they have access to the alley behind the building. If any of you have been there, you know that there's a lot of vegetation back there on the, but all the vegetation is on the adjacent site, and that sort of impairs the visibility into and out of this site. The applicants indicated that they're going to trim some of that vegetation, and that, of course, is going to require some coordination with the adjacent property owner. So, again, they'll have to provide that solution before they come back to you at the next meeting. They have agreed to provide the 5-foot wide green belt along Main Street, which we requested, and they've agreed to provide that. Again, more information, they need to provide the first floor plan, which we've seen, but they need to make sure it's in the package that comes to you for the public hearing in your next meeting. They need to show us where the loading space is going to be. It's a tight site, so they're going to have to get creative in terms of how they're going to provide that loading. Based on their description of the use, it's going to be low-intensity office use, so the need for loading may be minimal. They provided some very nice on-site landscaping, again, in that side yard area where they have the veranda, patio. There's a lot of nice landscaping there, so again, it'll be a nice addition. Overall, the renovation will be a great improvement to this existing building, which used to be dry cleaner. However, they are not proposing any improvements on the south side of the building, which will remain a basically cleaned up, painted CMU block wall. Vidia has suggested that the Planning Commission consider encouraging them to provide some additional articulation on that side while it's visible from Main Street coming north to provide some additional visual interest to that facade as you come into the building, into the city. Let's see. Yeah. They haven't shown any mechanical equipment on the current plans. They'll have to work through that with us as they get ready for their next meeting. Show us where it's going to be, make sure it's adequately screened and so forth. And again, as I mentioned, this used to be a dry cleaning facility, and according to the applicants, they've actually provided the cleanup on the site, the environmental cleanup on the site, and eliminated any contamination, which again is a great benefit to the city of Rochester. So with that, Vidia's recommendation is that this be scheduled for the next available meeting for a public hearing and consideration.
Mr. Banda.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to clarify, because I know last meeting, I think this got going all over the place. Applicants submit their plans. Vidia has 2 weeks to review them. She gets this report. We get them to that. There's not enough time in a month to get them back here so that we don't do, so that you would see a final plan. So it's not on us. If they would submit better plans in the beginning, then we wouldn't have so many comments. But we want to share with you all the thought process that Vidia is going through as she evaluates these plans. So the contractor already or the property owner has the conditions. They might come up and say, hey, I've done all that. That's great. But that decision will be made at the public hearing. So it's a lot of times the developers have come up and said, oh, I did it all. Well, that's okay. We don't make decisions on TV under pressure. We do that when it's appropriate. One of the items here, it said set for a public hearing. The minutes should have said set for public hearing when ready, basically. So we don't just automatically set a public hearing because we don't want to come back with a ton of comments. So I just wanted to make sure everybody's clear about that, so.
We would make it at the next available meeting when they're ready,
When they're ready, correct.
like we always do. Okay, that being said, any questions for Mr. Banda or Mr. Jackson, Madam Mayor?
My question, typical protocol, there are so many things that are being required. We traditionally would do all of the review of all those changes and a public hearing in the same night?
Yeah, they'll submit their plans, Video will write a new report. That will be in your packet a week before the meeting. You'll know they addressed them. If they don't address those, and it's a clear letter, it will never make it to the next meeting. We'll wait another month, so.
Even though we've already set up a public hearing?
Correct, so we would just, if we didn't think they were going to have them, because we have 15 days prior to, so there's a 2-day window that Jeremy has to make a decision. Is there enough to go to public hearing? We don't want to waste the money doing the public hearing if we don't need to. If there is, he'll schedule it. At that time, we would open the public hearing, table items that aren't ready. If too much was on there and you just didn't feel like making that decision, then you would just postpone it to the next meeting.
But tonight, we're voting on setting a public hearing.
No, scheduling a public hearing.
For the next, when it's ready. So Vidya will
That's-
have another
yeah.
chance to work with the applicant to resolve the missing information, get the agreement with the neighbor on trimming the vegetation, ironing out the parking. When it comes back to you, there may be a need for a variance for the veranda. That happens after you have your meeting. So you'll make an approval subject to the ZBA hearing and approving that deviation. So everything will be ironed out. On this one, again, if, we're gonna try to get them to provide, and this is an opportunity for you to encourage them to do something on that south wall so that we can get that issue ironed out before it comes back to you too.
And I would just indicate on the south wall that it's right on the property line. So believe it or not, even an inch sticking out from that pillar. Right now, Christie, normally they would put lights on that wall. Just keep it blank white. It'd be a great place for a mural, quite frankly, coming into town. That's something that wouldn't encroach on that property line. So we could, you could talk to.
But that's the issue. Anything on there is an encroachment, crosses the
It's
barrier.
literally right on
No,
the
I get
property
it.
line.
I
And they
get
can't
it.
put windows because of the building code, fire ratings and all that good stuff. So.
Okay. All right, well, we can get on to that. Question for Mr.
Yes.
Vander Jackson? Yes,
No,
go ahead.
for Mr. Banda. In regards to the parking, are they eligible for parking in lieu of?
Yeah, so the answer is yes, because they could ask for a space either at the bottom of the hill, the Home Depot lot we call it, or the one, the upper farmer's market lot. So, because there's a light there, I think you all maybe have been part of this. The dance school's really hammering us over. We need flashing yellow crosswalk lights. And we're like, Chief George and I, we went out there, we got TIA involved, Traffic Improvement Agency, and said, you don't want to stop the cars coming up or down that hill. So we should get rid of that crossing. You're supposed to go to the light and then come down to go there. And actually, the dance school and the other buildings have their own parking on site. It's just, they've got accustomed to drop off now. So then it's all confusing in their building. So not our issue. We're going to make it safe. So they would be eligible to answer your question for one.
As a follow-up question, basically, we asked them, or Vidya asked them to provide a green belt, which meant they lost a parking spot. It's my understanding that as the planning commission, we can waive the requirement for that additional.
Correct.
Okay.
Right, because that was self-induced.
Exactly.
Right.
Good question.
Okay. All right, any other questions for Mr. Banda or Mr. Jackson? Okay, otherwise, is the applicant here? Or a representative of the applicant? How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Good. Just come on up and state your name and address for the record, please.
Sure. Roger Barrett Architects, 6435 Apple Orchard Lane, Rochester Hills.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're excited to bring this project forward. The client was hoping to be here tonight, but he had a family medical emergency he's been dealing with over the last couple of days, so he hopefully will be here for the next meeting, but is upset he couldn't tonight. So anyway, I'm here on his behalf to present the project, answer your questions, and hopefully move forward to the next step of the public hearing. So as you're all well aware, it's the old Village Cleaners building. Been sitting there empty for quite a while. My client recently purchased the building a couple months ago, and then I've been working hard with him and Vidya to work on this design to make it an appropriate adaptive reuse of an old building. So first thing we did, of course, was mitigate the vapor and the issues with the environmental for the dry cleaner. So that has been addressed and taken care of. And so now we're here for the site plan approval. The client is basically using the building as a home office. It's going to be for his personal family office business use. So it's going to be a low intensity private office essentially for his daily use. He has various small businesses he runs and things like that. So for his wife, his kids, some family members to use the office, he really wants to be involved in downtown Rochester. He loves the restaurants, the shops, and just the overall environment of the city. So he's really looking forward to having his business in the building. He's looking to make a quality investment in the materials, the look, the feel. I hope you can see from the renderings, we've put a lot of time and effort in making a really sophisticated, warm building that fits the downtown environment. The lower level, which some reason I forgot to put the plan in, is going to be primarily garage, which it already is. He's going to be storing some of his vehicles there, and then the back part of it will be the garage for in and out daily use. And as you've seen, we're trying to really green up the north side of the building, create a friendlier presence than what is there right now. Soften it up, activate it, and just make it a nice spot within the city for his use, and visually softening the edges of these buildings, especially on that part of town. So, and I can kind of walk through and answer the questions that were brought up for the review, or we can go back and forth however you want to handle it.
I think it'd probably be helpful to kind of answer them and seriate them, just to kind of go through them one by one.
Sure.
And you don't have to go crazy on it, but just kind of address some of the issues that you heard us talk about.
Yeah, so I think, the biggest one always is parking. We can never get away from parking. So it was mentioned, the requirement as we understand it, and as McKenna has addressed it, is for 11 parking spots. We agree with that number, that it is 11. We're currently showing 10. Our initial submittal back in October that video reviewed, we actually had 12 parking spots. And then at that time, she brought up the 5-foot green belt that the adjacent property is putting in, and she asked us to match that and continue it across our property. That, of course, reduced our parking by 2 spots. So we were over by 1, and now we're deficient by 1. That is totally driven by the fact that we're adding the 5-foot green belt. So we're happy to add the green belt, and as a matter of fact, my client wants to add the green belt. We just don't want to be knocked for insufficient parking when we were actually over the parking. So something we can discuss, but we're happy to do it either way, to be honest. So
I'm going to pause you for right there, and maybe we'll talk about it as you go so we can keep track of things. But I guess, Mr. Band, I just want to make sure, because the ask was from the city to put in that green belt to correspond to the adjacent property and thus reducing the parking at the homeowner or the landowner's detriment, we have the ability to waive that deficit, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Is it okay to take maybe like a straw poll amongst ourselves to see, hey, is that going to be a hang up for anyone? And I guess, Laura, you're first.
So we're saying, it would be okay for them to be deficient.
By 1 spot.
By 1 spot.
In consideration of them installing that green belt, so it corresponds with the adjacent property that we did last month, and also to make it a little bit more, I don't know.
Yeah, can I add this? If in fact you all said no, then we have to ask for a special exception for payment in lieu of parking, which means we have to advertise that differently, which we could still do and keep this on track. So if the straw poll says not pay the $1,000 in the 1 space, per Mr. Kendrick's question, that takes us on a little different way because this is not a special exception, so we'd have to add that in.
Right. And I want to do this now so he
I think
understands
that's a great idea.
the timing, yes.
right.
So it would turn from changing
By right to special
to
exception.
special
yeah.
exception. So I will say I'm in favor of keeping the green belt, if we can do that to everyone's satisfaction.
We call it the horse trade, yes, okay, so.
So I would be in favor of trying to do that, because I think it would definitely create that separation between where the pedestrian traffic might be. You've got Penn Station there, people do walk between there and the cars. So I mean, I think it would be an
All right.
addition.
Thank you. Mr. Stone?
Have we done this in the last 15 years with any other property owner in the city?
No, we're running into all these very unique situations because things are such retrofit. The cleaners had 0 green belt. To get a green belt there, I'd give up 5 spaces, quite frankly, because that's extremely important court for 1 space. $1,000, the parking fund doesn't need it. So we have not done this. The last time we did it was at First Street Lofts so that they could have that patio outside, and we wanted a green belt in front of it. That took out one of the spaces on the street. So it's been probably 12 years since we've done it. But staff is in favor of waiving it, letting Planning Commission waive the 1. If it was 2, I know it sounds crazy, but now you're starting to set a precedent you might not want to deal with, but the ordinance was written clearly for these small requests, if that helps.
It does, no issues, thank you.
Madam Mayor,
I guess I would really, and maybe this was in the packet, so I apologize. I would like to see it before and after the greenbelt. Like, how is the parking lot set up? Is there,
Are we able
is
to
that
pull the
in?
PDF up?
You
Is
had
it possible to pull that up?
Or do you want
I don't think we have it loaded here. so-
Here, I have it on mine. if you
Just
wanna-
even if you can describe it, because I'm trying to understand how that greenbelt is losing the two spots.
Yeah, well, it's,
One
one spot.
we're losing two.
Well, they're losing two.
You're
but
losing
it's-
two
Yeah,
technically.
right.
We were striped for 5 in the front, and I'm kind of
Still
grandfathered
don't-
in for
so
that,
this
so.
doesn't make sense to me. You know, it's really not showing this,
Right.
because I did see this.
Yeah, okay.
I just,
okay.
Yeah,
I
Can you
feel
go
before I
to-
make a vote, I really would like to see the before and after.
We'll pop it up on the screen so you can see it. And again, those aren't ideal parking space. MDOT, as long as they don't touch that driveway, MDOT's not gonna get involved. They're straight in parking, almost impossible to get out. We'd rather have no parking in the front, just a green belt, because it's very difficult
Right.
getting on, in and out of there. But, this was the compromise to keep that 5-foot ban that we negotiated with, Travis and Mr. Riley next door. So, certainly we can show you a Google Earth shot of right now. It's just concrete. And you can't tell where the sidewalk stops and the asphalt is. They just pull up there willy-nilly to get your laundry.
I mean, I love the idea of the green belt. I guess I just feel like I want more information in front of me to
Yep,
make
we
a
can
decision.
have it shown
That's
on the
all.
aerial.
No worries. Okay. Mr. Harden, how about you?
Yeah, I'm generally in favor of the exception. I did have a question, though. Is there any reason why the ADA space is on the south of the front parking? I'm just looking at, is there a way to move that ADA space to the north, to the, maybe the east, and use that, I think it says it's 7'4" space? What's the minimum width that you need for that ADA striped space next to the ADA space?
Right,
Yeah.
it is 5 feet typically.
Yeah, so it seems like you'd have enough room to move that ADA space up there, claim that 7'4" foot space, and use that 10'6" striped area as the one extra parking space that you need.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea, actually. So what we did here, because of what Mr. Banda said, pulling in and out is a bit difficult. We actually, these spaces are 10.5 feet wide, so we actually went with wider spaces to make maneuverability
Smart.
better in that lot. So I would be a little concerned that we might lose some of that maneuverability if we jam or try to fit another spot in there. But that's something we can certainly look at, which might make up that difference.
Yeah, we'll work with Vinnie on that.
Okay.
Mr. Harden, any other questions on that issue?
No,
But generally, you're okay with it?
sure, yes.
Okay. Mr. Bachman, how about you?
I'm perfectly comfortable waiving the one spot and not having to deal with the special exception.
Mr. Kenzick?
I'm in support.
Okay. And I am as well. I think it's de minimis. So I guess what we'll do is, I think we have general consensus, Madam Mayor. We'll get you that paper and next time, but I think all indications are that you're probably on the right path here, that we would be amenable to giving you some relief on that -1.
Okay.
Okay? So continue,
Sounds
please.
So the second sort of major issue, if you want to call it that, is the setback to the north of the veranda. So right now, we're about 7'8" off of the property line. I believe Vidya was recommending 10 feet for us to be conforming, 10 feet off. So I've talked to the client about it. He's happy reducing the size of the veranda if it meets the setback as it's defined. The thing I kind of been coming up against is there is a part of the ordinance, I think it's section 2004, where interior lot lines in a CBD can be 0. These are interior lot lines, so that's why the depth of it is what it is. We never intended to be in the setback. We certainly don't want to get a variance. So my client is fine with reducing it if that works. But we also want to understand and clarify what the ordinance actually is for that site.
So we would, John, I just saying, we will work with them. He's right, it's may. So we said you may need a variance. So, we'd rather not get a variance. Again, that's time and money, and, Planning Commission has that authority again to make that exception because it's landscaping in lieu of providing a setback, especially in CBD. 'Cause most buildings are lot line to lot line. It's just weird because it's separate building off Main Street. It makes this more difficult. They would get the waiver, I will tell you that. We would recommend the waiver, but it's months and thousands.
And I went through the ordinance too, and there is some ambiguity between the two. So, again, I think that's probably something the applicant and the city can work out in the next 30, 60 days, or that time period between the next hearing.
For sure.
Okay, all right.
I do have a
Mr.
question.
Kinzie, go ahead.
I do have a question regarding the veranda area. Is that for private use, or will it be open to the public? Because it looks like a pocket park.
It does. I mean, as it's designed, it is intended for private use, so it
Okay.
would be accessible through the building. And so
Isn't there a
there is a
outdoor
small
entrance?
There is a, I guess, yes.
Okay,
But it wasn't intended for public use.
all right.
Yeah, if I may, again, sorry to keep jumping in here, but behind 429 and soon to be behind the former Mr. B's, the rooftop bar, same thing, they created private. It looks like you could just come in there, they actually have a sign that says this is for private use only, because there's alcohol involved in two of them, but here, that wouldn't be the case, but I would suggest that maybe over a period of time, the owner would talk to the folks that run Penn Station. They really tried with the cleaners to lease that piece of property to put an outdoor dining area so people could get their sandwich and eat outside. So that's between two private parties, but we'll certainly make that introduction to each other
Sure.
if it's approved.
Okay. Any other questions on this particular issue? Continue, please.
All right, the third issue is obviously the south facade. As stated earlier, we are on a zero lot line, so any additional material, anything cladding we put on the building would be encroaching on the neighbor to our south. As mentioned, we're willing to clean it up, paint it, do whatever we can, as long as we're not encroaching on the property. Right now, our intention is, like I said, fill the cracks, get all the stuff off of it, paint it, a mural, a lot of cities do that. I'm sure my client would be open to any of those ideas. It's just, we can't see ourselves putting anything that could be torn off or encroach on someone else's property.
Questions on that issue?
Not a question, but I would just say I'm strongly in favor of the mural. That was one of the ideas I had before. I think, was that you, Nick, that brought that up? But I think that's a great idea. I'd rather see a mural than a huge empty wall with nothing in it, no windows, nothing. I just don't think that would look very good, so.
And I can tell you, we have an art committee now that Christie's leading, on behalf of the city also, and we're trying to encourage things like that. And you saw the DIA mural that we put with the fish and the heron and the butterfly, so it would be really pretty. We could do something really nice there.
Wonderful. Okay.
Mr. Vice Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Bachman, go
Could I,
ahead.
just a question of opinion on this section 2118 that was referenced in the packet. The way I read it is those requirements only apply to facades that face a public right-of-way. So the south wall, I don't believe does. So I think the applicant's perfectly within the right to leave it as is.
I would agree.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, that's our.
I think that's why video put, it just suggested if we could, but you're 100% right.
Okay. Just a question. Thank you.
Suggestions were made, right? Okay. Any questions on this side? Okay. Continue.
So some of the, I guess, smaller points, if you have the civil drawing, on C03, letter C03, we do show where we do plan to put the mechanical units. They will be, we're gonna need terraced retaining walls to the back because of the steep slope to the alley. So there are green spaces that aren't gonna be used except for landscaping. So we propose where it says PRAC units, we're proposing the units to be on the land, on the ground, north side of the wall, behind a retaining wall, and then screened with vegetation. So that is on our drawings, and we plan to screen them appropriately with vegetation as required by the city.
Behind the paver area, the patio area there?
Yeah, to the east of the paver area, there's a step of retaining walls, and then we would be behind the wall and then vegetation around it.
And those would be screened?
Yes,
Okay.
completely screened.
All right. Any questions on those? Okay. Anything else?
Well, staying on that same drawing, and we'll label it this way, but our intention is, the client doesn't expect deliveries per se. It might be a package here or there. So we were gonna designate the first parking spot off the alley, so the one that's the southernmost spot, as sort of a loading and unloading for Amazon deliveries, which is right where the man door is for the garage entry. So we think it makes a lot of sense that that would be the one spot that we would maybe stripe off for loading and delivery, and potentially parking if we needed it, you know, if it became a parking issue in terms of he had a lot of people there or something.
Okay.
I can't think of any other issues that I can remember offhand, so.
I thought the vegetation issue, you'll
Oh,
coordinate with the
yes.
adjacent property owner?
That's right, yes. So, as mentioned again, the vegetation is primarily on the property to the south. Our plan is we're gonna rebuild the retaining wall, and in that process, we're taking that vegetation down that's on our property, and we're gonna be re-landscaping that area. And then we can work with the owner to the south if there's any other issue with the vegetation. But our intention is we're gonna remove it completely and come back in with appropriate landscape per our landscape plan.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions for Roger while we're up here?
Is there an elevator inside the existing building?
No, there's no elevator.
So,
Weird step-ups.
yeah, just looking at where that parking spot is for the handicapped, how do they get up to the second floor?
Well, so first floor is at grade, and then there's a lower basement level. So lower basement level is primarily the garage, and then, like, there's gonna be a small conference room.
Right, yeah,
But
so
there's a-
Randy looked at that, and they don't need the elevator or handicap accessible. They could put a lift if they had to, but the way they're using it for storage, in a private office, they would not need, to be able to do that, ma'am.
And then exiting on the west side of the building onto Main Street, is that going to be a right turn only?
That's a good question.
That's gonna be MDOT's decision. Right now, it's right and left.
Yes.
We would like it to be right turn, but MDOT says we'll tell you what you can do, so they'll contact MDOT.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
No problem.
Okay. Mr. Banda, Mr. Jackson, anything else you'd like to add?
I think we're ready to set a public hearing at the next available meeting.
Okay.
Could I?
Oh, yeah, go right ahead.
We're more than confident that we can turn these comments around within 7 days or less to be on the agenda for January. There is no concern with addressing these
Okay.
at the moment, as they stand.
That's fine.
Okay.
And the city will let you know, you know what I'm saying? If they don't feel you're ready, then they'll let us know, but that's fair. Okay. Commissioners, you heard the applicant, you heard the ask, so the motion would be, if one is inclined to make it, is to, this time it would be to set this for public hearing for consideration of site plan approval at the next available meeting. Okay,
Make a motion?
yes, go right ahead.
Yeah.
Okay,
I do.
motion by Laura Murphy, is there support?
A question. Do we want to include the waiver of the parking spot at this time?
No, you'll make that decision at that public hearing.
Okay. Then I'll
Support.
second. Go ahead. Excuse me.
Okay, Mr. Bachman, support. Okay, discussion.
I do have a question. What do we
Yeah.
do about outside lighting? Building's dated. I don't see any wall packs or down-directed lighting. I see a light study, but no light fixtures shown. Maybe I missed it.
Yeah, there are fixtures on it. There's gonna be minimal building lighting, but we do have a photometric that shows we're in compliance with the ordinance. So we're proposing a light by the front door, and then 2 lights on the side off the veranda area, and then 2 lights by the garage down. So pretty minimal, but within what is required. And
We'll make sure we get catalog cuts of the lighting fixtures for the next meeting.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for the applicant? We're still in the discussion period, so we have a motion, we have support. This is discussion. Any further discussion on this issue? None being heard. Brian, the roll call, please.
Kaiser,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Bachman,
Yes.
Hardin,
Yes.
Kendrick,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Stone.
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. We'll see you at the next available meeting when you're ready.
thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, let's go to line item 6B. This is consideration of 139 Romeo, site plan review and request for public hearing. Mr. Jackson.
Yep, thank you again. This is a proposal to demolish the existing building on the site and build a new two-story mixed-use building, approximately 6,800 square feet. The property is zoned B1, which allows for a mix of uses. And again, the applicant is here requesting preliminary approval to move on to the next step in the process. The proposed development does not comply with all of the required setbacks, as you can see in Vidya's review letter. The planning commission does have the ability to, has flexibility to approve the setbacks as shown. Vidya asked that the applicants provide a more detailed justification for the request for those setback deviations. We understand they've met with the administration and had some preliminary discussions, but for the benefit of the planning commission, we're asking that they provide that more detailed narrative to justify that. It is a strangely shaped lot, so I'm sure they'll be able to come up with a justification for that. Next item on the list here is that the property, it looks like it already uses the adjacent property for access and parking. So in order to justify the proposed improvements, we want to make sure we have a documented record of those agreements. So we're asking the applicant to provide that, that they have something official in place to assure long-term permanent access and parking on the property. They're showing a loading spot on site appropriately. In terms of parking, this is another area where we're going to seek clarification between now and the time it comes back to you. If you can see the floor plans, there's one of the residential units. Both of the residential units has a space in there identified as office. One actually has a closet in it. One does not have a closet in it. So we're trying to get some definitive answers as to whether or not those could in the future be used as bedrooms because it affects the parking count. So based on that, we're going to get clarification so we can nail down the parking requirements. Speaking of parking requirements, based on their calculation, it looks like they've used some sort of usable square footage for their calculations of the retail space. The zoning ordinance in Rochester refers to gross floor area. So there's a possibility that we may have some parking details to work on in terms of the number of spaces as well.
Please, if I may. So when we met with the owners, we know it was a steep price to pay for that property. They've already demolished the property. Told them it's not our obligation nor within our purview to make sure this financially works for you. If you overbuild the building, to answer your question from before, Mr. Kendrick, they are not able to purchase parking in lieu of. There's nothing in the air for public parking. So it's got to meet ordinance. So either the units have to be smaller or you can't do mixed use. So that's your purview. They were told that right up front. We know this is extremely difficult. They went to Mr. LaPuma, who owns the hot tub store building there now, Watson's. So to see if there's any way they could share a driveway. There's grade problems there. We actually had a lady drive, not that they tore the house down, she drove over into the dirt because she couldn't see back there. But so this is going to be, if you can't meet parking, if that room is a bedroom, you're going to either have to make the building smaller because it's or the gross square feet, and that's it out where you don't have enough parking. They're going to have to make it smaller. So again, I understand the ask, but we're going to stick to our guns where if it doesn't meet ordinance, we won't bring it forward.
Okay.
Sorry, John.
No, that's okay. Thanks. Thanks for that. So the next item here is the parking in front of the building. The B1 district doesn't allow for parking to be located in the front. They've indicated that they are going to request variance to allow to have that barrier-free space located in the front yard. That, depending, sure, yeah, go ahead.
Sorry,
Go for it.
we're tag teaming here. So presently, it was kind of nice to go to the lamb shop, drop off They got to the point where one of their employees was parking there all the time. That's not the idea of it. It was a nice drop-off spot. So it's been there before. They could go to the zoning board of appeals to ask for a waiver in that B1 front setback. As long as we had a landscape buffer and it was for convenience, we would talk about it. So not a guarantee, but you would not be able to make that decision. That would have to be conditioned on that. And if the ZBA said no, then the building's got to shrink. So they gotta kind of make that decision to make sure they get this parking right without that spot. It's not a guarantee.
Okay, next is the screening from the residential property to the east. We just need to see some more details in terms of what that screening is going to look like moving forward, make sure it meets all the ordinance requirements in terms of material, size, height, those sort of things. They have indicated on their site plan that there is a fence there, but we need to see more details, make sure it's, like I said, it's appropriate moving forward. There's some discrepancies between the various plans, the lighting plan and the site plan. Vicky is just pointing these out so that they can get everything in alignment moving forward. Next is the architecture. You can see Vidya's got some pretty definitive observations and some recommendations here as well regarding the material in use. So this is another situation where we're looking to the Planning Commission to provide some direction on the use of the colors and materials on this building. It's clearly not a very traditional style, but we want to get some direction. Again, the last issue here is alignment with some of the plans, make sure they're all consistent. So by and large, these are tying up loose ends with consistency of plans, getting documentation, things like that, resolving the parking issue. So as soon as they can get these resolved, Vidya believes it's ready for the next step in the process. We are asking for some direction in terms of the architecture, so we can work with the applicant to make sure we get it right.
Okay, wonderful. Questions for Mr. Jackson or Mr. Banda?
Mr. Vice Chairman, just
Go
a
ahead.
question of clarification. So it's clear B1's not eligible for parking in lieu, but did I also understand that we don't have discretion in this case to waive parking requirements?
It's not for landscaping, it's a parking. The ordinance prior to on the other one was you're getting landscaping instead of pavement. Here it's just, I need a parking spot in the front yard, which B1 doesn't want. It's not that B1 doesn't allow pay in lieu of, you have to be in proximity to a parking lot, a public parking lot, or we would just be taking their money for no access to any public parking. So that, it's not because it's B1, it's just there's no access. Kind of like the cleaners on University, we wouldn't allow them to be paid in lieu of because you'd have to cross a major thoroughfare to get to public parking. So just want to clarify that.
And to use the Vice Chairman's term, is there a potential horse trade here?
On the front, no, the zoning board would have to make that decision.
Okay. Right.
And their hardship, we talked about this, I can see the hardship was, it's always been paid, and I'm going to formalize the landscaping in front of that spot. So they have a pretty shot at it.
Okay.
Mr. Kinsey?
Yeah, I've got, I guess, a couple questions in regards to the parking. First, in reading Vidya's review, my interpretation is for Unit 1, there is no closet in the office. Therefore, that's not under question. It's Unit 2 where there may be a problem because the office shares a wall with the bedroom in Unit 1. If they were to remove the closet in Unit 2, would that, reduce the need for an extra parking spot?
I believe that's right. Or you'd have to add the square footage of the non-closet house that goes with the.
No. If both of the units were determined to be one-bedroom units, the parking requirement would be 1.5 spaces per unit.
So it'd be 3 instead of 4?
Yep.
Okay. And then I guess the second question is, the first floor is currently labeled as retail. Do you know if they have a tenant already lined up, or is this speculative?
I don't know, they hadn't indicated to me when I met, so when you come up here.
Okay, so I guess the question is, I don't know what all the ratios are for the different types of businesses, but is like, would retail be higher than office?
Yeah, so.
So if we restricted it and said, no retail, but you have you have to use it as office, that may solve the parking problem.
Okay, so
Okay.
office is 1 to 300 gross square feet, retail is 1 to 200, so you need to clear more parking for retail.
Okay.
That's the way this could come.
All right, any other questions for Mr. Banda or Mr. Jackson? None? Okay, is the applicant here?
Yes.
Okay, why don't you come on up to the lectern?
Good evening. My name is Joe Acapelli. I'm at 38329 Dodge Park Road, in Sterling Heights. I am the owner. I'm owner of Acapelli Building Company. I'm a developer and builder. I bought the lamp shop. As you can tell, it definitely needed to be removed. It was kind of dangerous even to go inside there, to be honest with you. So before I purchased it, I went several times to the city, I talked to Nick and Jeremy, and, checked out the different options, and we both agreed it's a difficult site, very challenging site. None of the property lines are straight, and there's a sliver piece in the back that's useless. So I got with my engineer and my architect, and I think we have a pretty, good drawing here, pretty good idea. We want to bring it in front of you and see what your thoughts are and your concerns, and hopefully we can make this work. We can redo that site.
No, that's great. And you heard Mr. Jackson talk about the issues that were raised in the letter, so.
Yes.
If you heard, the prior applicant, if you kind of want to touch on some of those points and see
Sure.
where we are, and we can kind of give you
Sure,
some
sure.
direction moving forward.
I will also introduce you to the architect, but one of the concerns was the closet. We could remove the closet. There's not going to be 2 bedrooms. It was specifically for a home office. A lot of people that work at home, they could have their own little office in their own units. That was really the idea. So very easily, we can remove the office on the second unit.
Okay, so just to keep on track, so that one unit that had the closet with the office, that'll be gone, so
That'll be
both
gone.
units will be 1 bedrooms then?
Exactly.
Okay, so for purposes of keeping score with the parking, where does that set us?
That's, puts us closer, but the calculation of the first floor square footage
Still has to be-
Still sort of a question.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. So the engineer is here, architect engineer can answer, more detailed questions for you.
Sure. Name and address, please?
Yep, my name's Kevin Rosenberg with Stuckey Vitale Architects at 27172 Woodward Avenue in Roanoke.
Kevin, nice to see you. Go ahead.
Thanks. Yeah, I can talk through some of the points that were brought up in the letter from Vidya. We're talking about the parking spaces. So she had mentioned on the ground floor that we should calculate by gross square footage, which we recalculated for gross square footage. Part of the footprint of the building is a lobby and staircase going up to the units on the second floor, so we didn't include that on our gross square footage calculation, but if we recalculated 1,776 square feet, that would require 9 spaces on the ground floor. And then with the 3 parking spaces for the units up above, that would put us at 12. We were able to fit 9 spaces onto the site, mainly due to the odd shape of it. We had 2 spaces in the front. We turned that into 1 ADA parking space, including the green belt. So now we're at 9 spaces provided, and also Mr. Acapelli's talked to the owner of the neighboring property and in agreement to use 2 of their parking spaces as a shared parking agreement. So that puts us at 11 spaces. So really, we're asking for a waiver of 1 less parking space in the lot. And as was mentioned before, we're using the calculation of 200 square feet per parking space on the ground floor. So we're kind of going with the worst case scenario since we don't know who the tenant is coming in on the ground floor.
So I might add this, so the zoning ordinance does allow for reciprocal parking, so if you're talking about Lombardo, that might be a problem, because I know Tony, and he might not have enough required parking on his own site, he's very non-conforming also. But, because they're in the back, they could go to another property owner within 350 feet, that you don't have to cross the street on, and say, we would calculate their required parking. If they have extra spaces, then they could show a lease agreement in perpetuity to take 2 of their spots. So I think we could probably find somebody up there that allowed to do it. I know the shopping center has no access. I know on the corner, the apartments have no access, so it'd have to be Watson's or the Sound Advantage, which is possible. But again, we'd have to make that conditional unless they tied that up before, which we can introduce you to the property owners to see.
Yeah.
We don't like parking, we don't like pavement, for sure. But knowing that in the previous approvals, when we have residential, 1.5 spaces, there's probably 2 people gonna live in there right off the gate, you're short parking. So we usually like extra parking for visitors and things, not less. But if it's closed at night, when the residents are there, there's a good chance that that could work out. So we can keep working together to try to come up with that, because we don't like extra parking if not necessary.
Okay. Kevin, continue.
Sure. Yeah, some of the other points that were brought up, the building being having a 0 lot line on the east side of the property. Based on the requirements, I guess with the zoning ordinance saying that the planning commission has the discretion to allow a 0 lot line on the side of the property, with considerations of subsections D 1 through 3. A few of those points were that the building, to the east of the property has at least an 8-foot, separation, and we provide a 10-foot separation, so we feel we're conforming in that respect. The wall on that side of the building that's where we put the staircase, so it's a solid wall, it doesn't have windows looking into windows of the neighboring property. And moving the building on the property to the east side allows us to have a full width drive going up the west side of the building, so I think that was number 2, of section D. So with those items, we're hoping to use that to conform in other areas. We talked about the dwelling rooms being 1 bedroom. As far as the materials on the building, I guess we're trying to give the building a contemporary look, something new and fresh, but also trying to keep with the surrounding area. We have masonry, we have metal panels that are made to look like wood siding, and we have green metal panels, which I think was where Vidya had some concerns about it fitting with neighboring properties. There's a lot of trees, there's a lot of greenery in the area. I think the green is more of a muted, it's kind of similar to what you'd see in like a residential green hardy panel. So we didn't find it concerning, sticking out in relation to the other buildings, but if that was a major concern of the planning commission, it's something we could adjust. But.
And if I would, of course, encourage planning commission to go out and take a look at JS Capitol building. So Jeff came in, and that was a really wonky building, and Jeff came in and put the wood, and it's very contemporary for a really old building. I think we want to make sure these two are married together. I think pretty much what they've done is do that, but you might want to take a look at that so you get a perspective of it. If you look at Google Earth, it's got some of the old Google Earth images, so it's worth taking a drive and looking at. And Mr. Lombardo turned that brick building, I think, with a black top on it, so you could be in between the two of them, but JS Capital should drive it. That's the predominant building when you come down Romeo.
Mm-hmm. And I think the last item was the retaining wall and the screening on the east side of the property, from the building to the east along the parking lot in the back of the building. There's an existing low retaining wall, with some wood planks that I think the owner is willing to repair. It's in a bit of disrepair. Then the residential neighbor next to that parking lot has an existing residential fence, which we would be allowing them to keep. We think it provides the necessary screening from the parking lot, but if there was something else, required. And the civil engineer is gonna add a picture of that to their drawing so we can see what the situation is and what we're willing to repair. And then the other items of coordination, I think it was mainly the 2 parking spaces in the front being turned into 1 ADA space, and that'll all be coordinated, after we get your feedback today.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions to the applicant or the architect/engineer, design professional? I think me personally, I think the biggest challenge is probably going to figure out this parking, because that's going to drive whatever happens moving forward, So I guess maybe city manager, I'd ask a little direction for you. Where do you think,
I think we could get by with, again, I read the case for the ZBA. I see that we could put the ADA spot there. I think that's appropriate, being that the way the property's so weirdly angled. I'm gonna work with them to try to get them 2 spaces reciprocal, so we don't have to ask for a parking, even if it's, on the gross square feet. That's tough at ZBA. We don't just give out waivers. They'll say the building's too big. So I don't think we're gonna pull this off in 2 weeks, to be honest with you, but if you were so inclined to do a motion to set for when it's ready, we'll work real hard with them. The quicker we can get here, we'll get here, but, I appreciate their patience, and I know when you purchase it, that's a tough buy. And you're right, the building, unfortunately, the gentlemen that were there for a long time, and, yeah, it wasn't good. So, and JS Capital is a really good example. That building kinda was horrible, and Jeff did a wonderful job there, so I believe we're headed in the right direction here, so we'll work real hard.
We're not going to make him go to Minnesota to get all that rock, are we?
There you go.
No, okay. Madam Mayor, go ahead.
Just a quick question about a change in the front, going from 2 to 1. Does that parking spot mean they have to back out into Parkdale to get out?
On the road?
Yeah.
No.
So how, because I'm just looking at the old building and how it was set up with that.
It's kind of
So-
similar. You pull it off the street and then make a turn.
So it'll
when you
be a-
turn, you can turn back and out of the street, kind of like a K-turn out of the street. But you don't have to turn
You would
into
have
the.
to,
Okay, thank you.
One of the questions that looking at letter number 13 here about the color.
Yeah.
Okay, so, I know it's subjective, it's a matter of taste. Are you married to that green color? Would you be,
No, we could change.
Okay.
My architect came up with that idea, I loved it, if you feel like it's not a color for the area, we'll change the color.
I think it might be,
Yeah.
I don't know, a little bit more productive to come with a little bit of a different color scheme that's a little bit more neutral and,
And I think photos, at the next meeting, a photo of
Yeah.
Jeff's building, Tony's building, and then how it blends in together, and show green and
Yeah.
show.
but it's a matter of taste. I get it, but go ahead, Mr. Kent.
Well, I personally disagree with the color scheme that you're suggesting, because if we make everything gray and
Yeah.
beige, it's gonna be boring, and everything's gonna look the same. Green is a neutral color, it's an earth tone, and it fits in with what they're trying to do.
That's fine.
I think if they brought, right, if they did a rendering with the, yeah,
I think we can make an objective decision.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I agree.
Okay, wonderful. Any other questions for the applicant?
I have.
Oh, I'm sorry.
just one question, Mr.
Laura
Chair.
Murphy, go right ahead.
You mentioned the fence between the residential, which part of the lot?
In the back lot on the east side of the parking behind the building, there's a low, probably 3 foot high and receding, retaining wall.
Uh-huh.
And then the residence next door has a fence on top of that retaining wall.
So what street are the residents on?
Short Street,
Short Street. Oh,
so there's a
Yeah.
couple homes stuck
Yeah.
there, very
yeah,
strange.
no,
and
I
that's
know
their
where we are
fence,
now.
so-
All right,
But that's their
all right,
fence.
all right, thank you.
Mr. Hurd?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask on the green color, can you bring a material sample with you? Because I went on the manufacturer's website, and I think the green on their website looks a lot more attractive than, obviously, renderings and printing and computer screens never really do it justice, but from what I saw on their website, it's a lot, I actually really like it, so I'd suggest you, if you can bring a color sample, that would be good. And I have some other questions, but I think they're more for Nick and.
You got it. Okay. Mr. Bachman, you good?
Yes, thank you.
Mr. Kenzick?
No more.
Madam Mayor, anything else? Mr. Stone?
No, I'm good. I would move it for a public hearing.
Okay. Mrs. Murphy?
I'm good.
Okay, so we would be asking, or I would be asking for a motion to set this for public hearing and consideration of site plan and special exception approval at the next available meeting or when the applicant is ready, once they've sorted out these parking issues.
So moved.
Okay? Motion by Mr. Stone. Is there support? Madam Mayor's second. Discussion. Brian, the roll call, please.
Hauser,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes,
Bachman,
Yes.
Hardin,
Yes.
Kenjic,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes,
Stone.
Yes.
Thank you so much. All right, take care.
You call me, Jeremy's out of town, so we can.
All right, thank you. Let's go to line item 6. Line item 6C, consideration of 265 East Second. This is site plan review and request for a public hearing. Mr. Jackson?
Yep, so I'm sure you guys are familiar with this project. The DDA is looking to make some improvements on the site for some activation. Vidya's taken a look at that, and based on the nature of the changes, she felt it was important that it came back to the planning commission for consideration. She's got several comments on here, but most of them are just confirming compliance with things like parking and that sort of thing. She does ask that the plan and the narrative be sort of aligned so the dimensions and the areas that are cited are consistent. She also indicated that on the lighting plan, that there was some light fixtures that were, again, not consistent with the photometric plan. They had some light fixtures that project the light upward as well as downward on the building. So she's asking that they clarify the nature of that lighting and make sure that's included in the photometric plan appropriately. And also on the landscape plan, she's identifying the fact that they're going to be removing some trees from the bank property. So the replacement of those will have to be coordinated and documented on how they plan to do that. So Vidya's comfortable with where this is in the process and subject to the Planning Commission's input, looking forward to scheduling it for the next available meeting.
Certainly, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Jackson? Is the applicant here? Come on up, please.
Good evening, Commissioners, Madam Mayor, congratulations. So we're back. I think it's no secret why we're here. As we got into the I-dotting T crossing of the original project, we quickly found out that our forefathers weren't so diligent with the earth in and around the parking lot there in the building that we purchased. So as soon as the earthwork, I learned more about rigid inclusions and helical piers than I ever care to deal with ever again in my life. And I thought tax code was bad, this was brutal. But once we neared 7 digits on earthwork, I said, all right, hit the brakes, we gotta go back to the drawing board. So we actually went and got a second opinion in terms of that. And we did everything we possibly could to keep this deal, to keep it moving forward. And it quickly became evident that we needed to go back to the drawing board and make it simpler and not as invasive in the dirt. So Abby Franz and Steve Auger are here from AKA, and Christie's here as well. So any questions you guys have with respect to the changes we've made. But the basic idea here is we had certain deliverable elements we had to achieve for what we had promised council and the community and Oakland County with respect to the public space. We have to have it built by September 30th, otherwise I have to write a check back to the county for $940,000, and I really don't want to do that. So we're trying to put the hammer down and get this done as quickly as possible. But in the changes that we made, they were significant enough that we wanted to come back and have Abby and her team walk you sort of through the changes that we made, knowing the reason we did it is really just because of the dirt. We had no, if you recall, we were trying to fit a brand new stage area into the existing dirt, and it just became untenable. So anyway, with that, I turn it over to Abby and her team, and she can kind of walk you through in terms of the nitty gritty, but that's how we got here.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, sir.
Abby, how are you?
Hello, good evening. Thank you, Ben. I'm going to pull up a PDF of the site plan. Oops.
Rose, did she get the share screen? Rose, do you have to share screen or? Oh, just confirm, okay. Gotcha.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Thank you, everyone. So in response to Vidya's comments, we've addressed them on this revised site plan. And we took the same program that we were originally proposing and broke it down into separate components. So we are, again, like what Ben said, we're achieving the same programmatic promises, but with the significantly reduced square footage. So we still have this event space that is an open air event space to be used for the farmers market primarily by DDA, and we have a proposed addition to the existing pre-engineered metal building that contains bathrooms for public use, both indoor and outdoor. And then in lieu of the stage, we have a pavilion with a small storage building, which is shown right here. We have gained parking in this north lot, and we have reduced parking in this south lot, but because of the significantly reduced footprint, the minimum parking requirements have reduced. In response to some of Vidya's comments, we tweaked the loading area back here to be within the property line and the, and yeah, if you have any questions, I think that we can jump to that part. I have renderings if you would like to see them too.
Yeah, so.
I'm up to you guys.
To the commissioners, if you want, Abby can certainly go through this line by
Yeah.
line, but if there are specific questions based on the letter that was submitted by Vidya, Abby can, I'm presuming, go through those as well.
Exactly.
Mr. Banda?
Yeah, I would think it would be good for you to see.
I
the
do,
new
yeah,
look.
that's
Yeah,
fine.
Yeah,
yeah.
the new
Yeah.
look is, there's some really cool stuff.
No, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, so here's our bathroom addition and our pavilion in the back here. We are introducing a new pedestrian plaza here in this area, as well as maintaining this plaza here, which has previously been, like the setback requirement has been previously approved to allow for this pavilion, or like the front awning. In the back setback, we are actually not requiring that anymore, as this storage building falls within the setbacks of the site. And my many PDFs, here we go. Let's look at the pavilion now. Here's our small storage building in the back here. We have our accessibility ramp, which goes down from this grade change from lot to lot, parking lot to lot. And here's an overall aerial view of the site, showing the farmer's market use. One of the major improvements that we're making in this iteration is the activation of this front facing facade. We are adding on like a brick veneer wall, which pays homage to farmers markets in the past, as well as I think integrates it better with the look of Rochester. Here's another perspective of that, and then here we are looking at the inside. We have mechanical, like wall-mounted mechanical units in the existing area in between the lots. We have a small food prep area to be used. Here's outside again, looking at the open air. We're maintaining large glass overhead doors. Looking at the pavilion, and from the front, we have this really nice wood screen wall that provides like a back to any performers or events that are happening in this area, making it a really nice space that activates this parking lot as an event space. And here's the rear, off of Water Street, looking at our mechanical screening. Yeah, I'm open to any questions or comments.
I had one more, going to, my inner Mr. Gassman would ask, Abby, go to the picture with the picnic tables. On Farmers Market Day, so those are handicap spots.
Yeah.
Normally, so the facility was being used not for Farmers Market Day, you would have, those would be the handicap spots. If it's on Farmers Market Day, there are handicap spots in the upper lot that has an ADA compliant ramp to get there, so we noticed that, so we can't take those away, but we wouldn't be wanting people interacting, parking right there while we're doing a farmer's market, so one day a week, but the handicap parking requirements will be met on the upper lot also.
And obviously, those will be blocked off on
Correct.
farmer's market day, okay. Any questions for Abby while we take a pause? No? Okay, go ahead and continue if you want. Or is that it? Okay.
If you don't mind, just really quick.
Go ahead.
I'll just add, so the main feature here is, as I said before, the stage and the building were one. Now they've been separated due to earth issues there. So that pavilion really is, I mean, I was joking, we could just have the Amish build us one, and we'll get a couple cases of beer and put it up ourselves. I mean, it's not gonna take a great deal to do, but it's completely separate, even though in that picture, and what it has done is preserve, there's, Steve refers to it as the moat. There's like this place between the parking lot and the existing animal hospital where the utilities are, HVAC is presently. We are gonna keep that, and it was brilliant that we actually moved, the team moved the HVAC units up on the wall of the building, so they're not even on the ground anymore, which is great. And if you saw it from the inside of the picture, you could see the handlers in there. And because of the reduced cost, fingers crossed, we're still waiting on numbers, but we'll be able to have air conditioning in this space too, which is, we're super excited about. So anyway, just wanted to add that additional comment.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions? Laura?
Hey, so, going back to the bathrooms, there's access from the inside or the outside, is that
Correct.
right? So are they gonna be open, I think we discussed this before, when there's not farmer's market?
Yeah,
Or-
so the idea is to keep it, so there's gonna be a door between, the gym itself and the bathrooms that's gonna be independent of the one that's open for, public use. We'll have to work with council with respect to, governing humanity. I don't know how that's gonna work out with respect to hours and security and all that stuff. We'll cross those bridges when we come to it, but the idea is that space, and this was a promise we made to council when we, talked about this space, is that public bathrooms were like at the tippy top of everybody's list to have there. So we got that, and we also have, Miss King's bike racks are also in here.
Nice.
We got everybody dialed in there.
Perfect, thank you.
Any other questions from the commissioners? Okay, so the ask then would be to put this, recommend that the planning commission place the above-mentioned plan on the next available agenda for public hearing and consideration of site plan approval, subject obviously to submission of a revised site plan addressing those comments that were discussed in that letter. And a motion should recite that verbatim.
I would make that.
You would make that motion? Okay, I hear what you're saying. Okay, motion, Madam Mayor, support. Is there any discussion? I
just want to,
Go ahead.
just to make a comment to thank you for yet coming back again and trying to stay to budget, and so much work has been involved, and we really appreciate all the time, and it's beautiful. The building is beautiful. It fits with the town, the image, and I just am very grateful for all you've done. It's going to get done. It's going to get done. Yes. So thank you.
And if I could just make a comment, I appreciate, this is maybe the 13th or 14th time that you've been up here, but it's important that everyone does this when there's changes that are being made, when there's updates, when there's modifications, because, and frankly, when it's kind of a quasi-governmental entity, because what we ask of anyone, we should expect from the city. So thanks for coming in and doing that. That's exactly right, yes. That's exactly right. So thanks for doing that.
And we appreciate your guys' patience with us. Had we known, typically in due diligence, if we were gonna put put the Royal Park Hotel there, we would have done earth borings and whatever. We had no idea what was there until we found out what was there, and it was not great. So.
Okay. Any further discussion amongst ourselves? Okay, Brian, the roll call, please.
Hauser,
Yes.
Jones.
Yes.
Bachman. Yes. Harden,
Yes.
Kenjic,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Stone.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Thank you.
6D, consideration of 1129 North Main. This is site plan review and request for public hearing.
Yep.
Mr. Jackson,
Yep.
You again.
Last one here for me anyway. So 1129, I believe you've seen this before. They submitted revised plans, and you can tell by Vidya's letter, most of these points are just confirming again that they've complied with the comments the last time they were in front of the planning commission. She did have two items, I believe, actually really only one item, and it's really sort of a minor issue, and that is the photometric plan doesn't accurately reflect the site plan in that it doesn't show the newly proposed barrier-free parking spot. Other than that, the letter is very clean, there's no outstanding issues. She compliments the architecture, keeping the character of the existing building while adding a barrier-free ramp on the front. So I just wanted to say that to emphasize that she is not always critical about architecture, but she does have positive things to say. And with that, I think, again, this can be scheduled for the next meeting for a public hearing.
certainly. Mr. Banda.
So I want to compliment the developer and Vidya on this, because when it first came in, your natural inclination is, we're going to put a parking lot in the back, just like everybody else on North Main. We're not going to keep this like a home, like DeLusa building with the stone building across the street, which still hasn't started construction. I'm happy because the home's still there, right? So in this one, our groom, I think, Mayor, you go there too. Our groomer is right in the backyard there. Every spring, a doe has a fawn in that backyard. All the neighbors, talking to the neighbors there, taking a walk with the dog, it was is there any way, if this guy doesn't need a parking lot, you have to detain the water, build a screen wall, it's gonna look so commercial, why can't you minimize the parking? Find a tenant that would minimize the parking requirements, which this developer did. So Vidya at first was kinda like, you're gonna have to put a parking lot in the backyard. Understandably, that's what the ordinance, but working together, she worked with them and us, and we came up with, you know what? We can make this work. 2 in the garage, 2 outside, put the handicap spot appropriately, not pave the backyard, and made the neighbors very happy. And I think, looked at the architecture, like John said, she's not critical for, just to be critical. She's evaluating the situation to keep a home-looking office on Main Street, I think is outstanding. So kudos to everybody.
Appreciate the collaboration. Okay, before I ask the applicant to come up, any questions for Mr. Jackson?
Mr. Vice Chairman, just a
Go
point
right
of
ahead.
clarification. I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, we set this for public hearing at the November meeting, so.
Yeah, John, I just read the minutes, and Jeremy either didn't interpret it that way, or what I was told after that meeting was that there's a couple things that they weren't gonna be able to get in time to set the public hearing definitively. So I would agree with, even in the minutes, it says set it, so we did not set the public hearing based on he didn't get what he needed at that time.
So, okay, because on here it says, so
Minutes.
is it the minutes are wrong? Or the agenda's wrong?
Yeah, one of the other.
I mean, I'm not trying to be, I'm
We
just saying,
saw it
so,
tonight, and it was like, I'm not sure if,
which one did we table?
I thought Jeremy told me
We-
you tabled this one. No?
It was 2:15, I think.
Oh, no, we tabled the Main Street Billiards
You did.
one.
I knew
Yeah,
that.
that's what it was, okay. All right, so,
Then this should be easy to schedule for public hearing.
all right, so we just have to set this one for public hearing then, okay?
Which again, I think we did. I think the minutes are correct.
Right, so this is going to be the public hearing.
Can't. We
No,
have to advertise.
Okay, so
Yeah.
this agenda's wrong then.
It's not wrong, because if I can only.
I'm not trying to say,
No,
yeah.
no, I know. In the report, it wasn't based on a public hearing. So it wasn't set for public hearing. Either the minutes weren't right, or, go ahead.
So the other alternative is, we didn't have to put it on the agenda at all tonight,
Right.
because the public hearing would have been at the next meeting,
Right.
because that's when the information came in. That's as soon as we could have posted the public hearing notice. So this is just a courtesy review of the status of the project. It'll be on the public hearing.
See, and I see the applicant back there, and I heard the sigh.
Yeah.
Yeah, why don't you come on up, and then we'll try and sort this out.
Thanks. My name's Todd Sterling.
Well, hang on just a second. Wait till you're in front of the microphone, and then do it, please. Okay, go.
Todd Sterling,
Yes, sir.
1700 Buell Court.
Okay.
Or Rochester, sorry. So the way that this worked was, Mr. Hauser, you facilitated a meeting between Vidya and myself, my
Right.
architects, and Jeremy.
Right.
And so in that meeting, Vidya said to us, all of us, hey, if you get this to me by Monday morning, which was November, I have to look at it, I'll review it, and you can be on the docket for this meeting so that you can proceed. So my interpretation and what it was explained to me was you were gonna approve or not approve this here tonight so that I could proceed. So I wouldn't have to wait a whole nother month
Yeah,
till January to be able to do this.
All I can tell you is that didn't happen. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Jeremy is pretty good at following up on that, so we can't, because we
Yeah.
have to advertise.
So here's the issue. In order to have a public hearing, you have to have sufficient and timely public notice of that hearing, so anyone can come in and voice a concern, whether in favor or in opposition. My understanding is that notice wasn't done. I don't know how that happened or why it didn't happen, but nevertheless, I guess notice is going to be published then.
Yep.
And then, I hate to tell you this,
First one in January.
but you're gonna be the first one in January, that'll be your public hearing. So in January, is it maybe the second or third, whatever that date is, actually, we're gonna set the hearing, or set the minutes, or set the calendar for coming up here. But, your public hearing will be in January.
Can I ask Rose? Rose,
Go ahead.
did you and Jeremy talk about this?
No, not at all. I just followed what was placed on the agenda this month.
Gotcha, okay.
The whole reason that she gave me that meeting was so that I didn't have to wait an entire month.
I don't dispute that for a moment. And I certainly apologize, and I'm sympathetic to the fact that you're here and tonight is not the public hearing. But the reality is nothing we do can change that, because if we were to do the public hearing today, it wouldn't be statutorily correct, and you would just have to come back in January again. I'm sorry about that, and we'll talk internally how to make sure that doesn't happen again. I know that doesn't make you feel any better, but that's unfortunately the situation I'm in right now, and I hate to be the bearer of bad tidings.
Yeah, and Vidya sets that agenda with Jeremy. They go over it together, so there could be something that is missing enough for her to say it wasn't right. I don't want to make up stuff.
I don't believe that to be true, because
I don't know.
all of us collectively came together to put this plan on the paper, to get it in time for her to review it so that I could be on this docket to move forward. So internally, somebody dropped the ball. And unfortunately, I'm the guy that's sitting here and has to bear the brunt of that.
Yep, I apologize. But we'll get to
Apologies are one thing, but another thing, that costs me money too, and time. So when you guys make an error like that, it has real consequences. Just know that.
It's not lost to me. I understand completely, and I assure you we'll talk about it internally to the extent that we can with city manager and make sure that this doesn't happen again, okay? I know nothing I say is going to make you feel better tonight, but that's the reality of it, sir. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So can we at least tell the applicant that the proper steps will be taken to make sure that notice is published timely, so.
You can set this for the January. Yeah, specifically.
Okay.
I guess I don't understand why I'm even on the docket if this isn't what we all agreed we were gonna do. I don't understand that.
So if I may, so.
Go ahead.
Unfortunately, my staff person's out of the country for 2 weeks. Vidya is out of the country for 2 weeks with a family emergency in India. So usually Jeremy and Vidya talk and they set the agenda together, they go over it with me. They did that. This was not set for a public hearing. I saw the minutes tonight, John pointed to me, it did say set for public hearing. It didn't say for a specific date, so I assumed this was another set it for public hearing when they're ready. There was a comment left. I don't know if there were more comments. You're an honorable man, so I don't know where Vidya and Jeremy, we never got a report back after that meeting that you had, so I apologize, but it's.
All of that should be in your packet, the report from that meeting. And all of the things that all of us worked on to present to you tonight is all right in here.
I appreciate
that.
that.
You all have.
I understand, sir. We will make sure this doesn't happen again. It'll get noticed up, and then in January 5th.
I'll report back to you
Yeah.
where what happened, this mixed stuff's right. Neither John or I.
I'm sorry. I just.
So what do we do from here right now? Anything? Do you need anything?
You have to wait till the January
You have to wait till yeah.
first meeting, right? And then you'll be all set, if it gets approved, so.
Yes, so January 5th will be the public hearing. You don't have to do anything. It's the city's obligation to make sure that the notice gets published within the time limits under the statute.
Correct.
Okay,
January 5th.
January 5th.
So the motion should be
So we have
for
to do a motion,
specifically
right?
January
Yeah.
5th.
Yes, okay, so.
I have a question. Is there anything, our process after we see it, do they need site plan approval first before you guys will review building plans? Is there any way we could speed up that part of the process
Yeah.
for them?
Through the chair, it's a fair
Go ahead.
question. So a lot of times if something like this, not this happens, but if someone says, hey, I know I'm a slam dunk, they would write a letter and say, I accept responsibility. Randy could pre-review the building plans, get it all ready to go. So the day of the 5th, the morning of the 6th, they can have their building permit. So we can do it quicker, knowing that if somehow the public came to a public hearing and say, we don't like this, then, and it got denied, it would be on them for actually going ahead before they were ready approval. But we can speed that up, so we can pick them up sometime there. Absolutely. Done it before.
Okay, will you work with the applicant tomorrow or later this week to figure out, A, kind of how we got here, but more importantly, B, where we go from here?
Yes, sir.
To make sure that on January 5th, this applicant can close this circle?
The thing that's disconcerting to me is there's been several errors. This is my first barbecue at this. I've never done this before. But so far, dealing with the city has been really difficult because I've gotten bad information several different times in this process. And it sent me down the wrong path, only to come back and have to do things again. So somehow or other, I hate to say it, I need your help. I need your help, but you really need to tighten up here which you guys do. It has huge ramifications
If you
for
call
all
me
of us
tomorrow,
that live
I
in
don't know
this
what you're talking about, so if you tell me what other bad information you got, I'd be glad to hear
I
it.
originally submitted it, and they told me I needed 17 parking spaces because I was making a restaurant.
Okay, I don't.
Yeah, exactly.
I think, again, you heard what I said. I don't mean to, but I want you to know, we heard you, and give Mr. Banda a call tomorrow. He's very responsive, and I'm sure the two of you will be able to work some of these things out, okay? And on behalf of the planning commission, I apologize for the inconvenience. You're welcome. Okay. Do we need to make a motion? No. Yes, okay, so let's do that, please. All right. Is there a motion?
I want to make a motion to set the public hearing for 1129 North Main for January 5th.
Okay, motion, is there support?
Support.
Okay, Mr. Kenzik, support, discussion. Brian, roll call, please.
Hauser,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Bachman,
Yes.
Harden,
Yes.
Kenjic,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Stone.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, let's go to, we're on miscellaneous 7A. This is the 2026 Planning Commission meeting schedule. Brian, do you want to handle this one, or is this Nick?
Yep, if, the dates are on.
Yeah, dates are on the last page of the
So we looked
packet.
at, we looked at holidays, et cetera, yeah, there's not an election next year, so that kind of threw us off before, because we needed to use this room during that time, so that should be good dates unless anybody's got a conflict. This is the time to change those dates if you could.
Well, there is one still in there.
There's 2 elections next year.
Here.
Wednesday in August.
So I'm thinking of the council agenda that I went over with Holly today. I should go with what that says.
Right, so the August 5th is a Wednesday. It's a Wednesday because primary would be on Tuesday, which would be in here, presumably, right? And then obviously Wednesday, November 4th would be here because election day would be Tuesday, November 3rd.
Correct.
But otherwise, they're all on Mondays, first Monday of each month, including July 6th, if we get lucky because it's after the holiday.
It's the national elections, isn't it? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so you'll see on page 136 of our packet, those are the proposed dates. I appreciate everyone's schedule can still be fluid at this time, but are there any objections to these that stick out? None having been heard, is there a motion to adopt the proposed schedule of the 2026 Planning Commission? Madam Mayor? Oh,
I make a motion to adopt the 2026 Planning Commission meeting schedule.
okay. Mr. Stone, was that a support I heard?
Support.
Oh,
yes.
boy. Okay, is there any discussion on this particular issue? None having been heard, Brian, then roll call, please.
Hauser,
Yes.
Jones,
Yes.
Bachman,
Yes.
Harden,
Yes.
Kenjic,
Yes.
Murphy,
Yes.
Stone.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Line item number 8, public comment. Anyone else who'd like to make a comment? Rose, anyone online?
No one's online.
Okay, just a couple miscellaneous items, Mr. Banda. Well, actually, let me ask, does anyone else have any questions for Mr. Banda or Mr. Jackson? Go ahead.
I do, but I'm happy to follow you. Thank you.
Last meeting, I had asked Jeremy, what is the status with those gates on, it's
give
at
you an
Pine Street, right?
Yep.
Yes.
So what happened is, our records show right-of-way line, the gates exiting our right-of-way. Their survey says, their information, title work said, no, there's an easement that goes to the middle of the road. So they agreed through Jeff, Attorney Crott, that they would go get a survey. So we saw the surveyor out there. If you know anything about surveying, it could take 6 months to get an answer. I asked Mr. Crott, contact Ruth Marie Shea, which is Dr. Tala's wife, who's their attorney. What's the results? And once we know the results, if they acknowledge that that is our property line, they will immediately been told, remove them from our property, or we will. So I don't have an answer back from them yet. Jeff, I don't think that she's got back to you yet, that I know of, or you would have told me. He's still there, yep. Jeff, are you there? No, there he is.
I am. It just took a second here to get the mute off. No, we have not made contact with them.
So
And we'll make a
once we know
note
the
to
answer, but we
follow
can't-
to contact them to see where we go.
Yeah, so if you noticed this last week, they did a major repair to the parking lot, which is fine. They don't even need a permit for that, but we would like to get this resolved too, but if they're on our property, they're coming out. It's that simple.
And I appreciate that, but I'm just concerned about the timing. I feel like we're on their time frame versus ours.
We don't want to get a lawsuit. If we're wrong, he read Dr. Attala read a document that said there's an easement to the middle of the road, not uncommon in this city. And we can't prove either way. We found 2 mistakes already in the counties where they have the property lines way off, and we're not confident. We asked the county, are you sure this is right? No, you should see the survey. So it's frustrating to us, trust me. But we're protecting ourselves.
Understood. Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Mr. Bachman?
Just a comment. I appreciate the previous applicants expressing his concerns. That might be tough to do, especially at his first barbecue, as he put it. I think we had some significant shortcomings from the city administration on 215 South Main as well. The applicant was not prepped for site plan review. So that was a concern that was expressed last meeting. That's my comment. My question is related to the requirement for a capital improvement plan annual report. I've not seen that come through Planning Commission. Is that something we should have to review?
That's a fair question. Over the last 10 years, we've done 3. I agree, it's in a document somewhere, but it's been very inconsistent. We have one. We certainly could, I remember Mr. Kingsep, that was one of the things he always wanted to see, and Mr. McGee. So we would see it, and then for years, it never came here because it was part of the city council's budget process. But we certainly can bring forward, Mr. Schaefer come in, explain what that is to everybody, so.
I think the last one was maybe 2020 or 21,
It's been a while.
maybe. Yeah.
The city, he asked for it, we brought it's the city council's document with, and now that we have Jason Warner, our project manager, it's right there, so we'll just bring it to share, that's all. So, we have not been consistent.
And what action would the Planning Commission take on this document?
It's a recommendation that they accept it, but it doesn't have any weight. It's all city council, so.
I'm sorry, just so I can understand your question, you said the annual report capital improvement plan.
Yeah, the annual capital improvement plan, annual report. Which, I bring it up because NVIDIA's training, she said that's a requirement of Planning Commission.
So the reason I ask is because I may be hearing this wrong, but there's 2 different things that are required by the state law. One is an annual planning report that comes out every year, and it documents what the Planning Commission did and the ZBA did over the past year. The number of meetings that you had, the cases that you heard, that sort of thing. And it also sort of projects out for the coming year what projects you should take on in terms of zoning, plan updates, special area plans, things like that. So it's primarily planning and zoning related. That's the annual planning report that's required by the state act. Separately, there's a requirement that if a city does a capital improvement plan, it's got to go to the Planning Commission for their review and approval, and that's usually updated on an annual basis. But the capital improvement plan obviously is for major city projects, road improvements, park plans, things like that, physical improvements. And the Planning Commission's role in that situation is to make sure it aligns with your master plan. Make sure the city's not investing in public improvements that don't align with the policies in your master plan. So those are 2 different things that are required by the state act.
Yeah, and again, I've been here 17 years and never heard of it until Mr. Kingsep brought it up years ago. And then it came a couple of years, and then former city manager thought it was a city council thing. So it'd be easier to be consistent, follow what John and Vidya are talking about. As to your first comment, I'm gonna say this. So sometimes we have disagreements with staff. I personally believe Main Street Builders, when they came in, they said, we are replacing the wood. Wood is wood. Didn't know they were putting up vertical siding because they didn't tell us. They didn't pull a permit. They just came in and put up, I was driving from Tim Hortons and saw the slats of the building. I'm like, Jeremy, what are they doing? They're replacing everybody thought I was driving. It was plywood that was painted. Called the owner, Franklin Properties, what are you doing? Oh, I'm gonna make it look like rooftop bar. Well, you can't do that. You've got to go to the Planning Commission. So it wasn't our fault. They just beat the system, and then we caught them and stopped them. So there wasn't anything wrong there. As far as this one, I remember the gentleman coming in, not him, but the gentleman that was gonna be inside the building, and he did talk about a restaurant there, a tea room. And then they talked about an office that needed a parking lot in the back. And again, I'm not making excuses for Jeremy, but I know he got the parking count wrong based on a gross square feet, because they had told him they're gonna use the second floor for office. That would've made him have 15 parking spaces. Then when he said, oh, no, it's just storage, and then he blames us for changing his mind. That's not fair. He can say it, I'm not gonna call him out on TV, but there's two sides to every story. That guy changed his story 3 times since he came in here. So that's all I'm gonna say.
Mr. Vice Chair, I just want to clarify. So it was the October meeting where there were some uncomfortable commissioners fast-tracking the 215 South Main project so it could be green-lighted for the Big Bright Light Show. And come to find out, at the November meeting, we needed a site plan review. And so I think, again, we dropped the ball there, kind of like the gentleman we heard from just a moment ago.
Yeah, I disagree. Vidya made a decision that was a change in wood, from wood to wood. So that came up too late to get to the next meeting. So we didn't drop the ball. Once we found out what the deal was, we followed it appropriately. And where are they this meeting? They didn't bring their drawings in because he doesn't care if he gets lights on his building or not. So they're gonna T-wrap the building and then put the lights up. And Christie said, you know what, I'm good. You're not gonna extort us because you think, you're the one who came in and didn't have a building permit when you should have known you did. You told us you were painting the wood, and you did. But then you put up the slats, so I disagree.
Madam Mayor, you had a question?
I do.
Oh, go ahead.
If I may,
Yeah.
on the same subject, is all that was in the packet was a memo that was explained, oh, it's a gray area, that maybe it's not, and I think I will just admit, I don't know
Yep.
the nuances, and I appreciate having all the information that everyone else needs to have. And having this memo that was like, maybe it needs planning commission approval and maybe not. And why is it here? And why are we talking about it? Why is it on the agenda when we don't have, it's not complete? And that was kind of my
Understand.
with it.
So I didn't follow your line of questioning. So you're talking about why wasn't there a site plan? A simple facade change, I would have never said you needed a site plan. Never have in 17 years. Vidya looked it up and disagreed with me and said, Nick, that should trigger site plan. To change the wood on the front from wood to wood, we disagreed. She's the planner. I'm not paid to be your planner. So I said, okay, now you have to have a site plan. And then that's where it got messed up. That's because we had a disagreement and we agreed to, from now on, it's real simple. I'll stay out of it. We've done facades before without a site plan. It's a building, just the face of a building. It's not changing anything, but rules are rules. So we said we'll follow that. We haven't before, but we can all learn how to work together. So that's what we're doing.
Mr. Vice Chair, in fairness to the administration, at the October meeting, you did say this will not require a site plan review.
Didn't think that we did. Vidya disagreed.
But again, we fast-tracked it to November. I guess where I'm concerned is what happened between October and November that we couldn't straighten this out to get this applicant, because,
The guy wouldn't do a site, he wouldn't do a site plan. He's like, why would I draw a site plan? I don't have one. So we're like, take a Google Earth picture and say, this is my building, lot line to lot line. He didn't want to do it. He didn't want to do it. So he's still not on.
And the applicant said they provided everything they were asked to provide.
They did not.
Okay.
He didn't even give us a Google map with a lot line on it. It was simple. Go to Oakland County Records. We showed him how to do it. Submit that. Vidya said she would take that. He didn't do it. He still hasn't done it.
Any other questions?
No, thank you very much.
Madam Mayor?
I just want to build on your original question, which was in that training, it was a little concerning to me, and it sounds like we haven't done it, that she mentioned that we should, city council every year should get a planning commission report. Can we start that? Because she said that McKenna would help with that whole process. I think we've missed out on doing that, and we would like to change that starting next year.
Yeah, agree. We've done it in the past, like I said, so I don't know why it didn't keep getting done.
But we'll change that.
Yeah, we'll fix it.
Yeah, I'm sure the commissioners would all appreciate that.
When do other communities schedule that? Do they review it in December and council then looks at it after our planning commission meeting and they approve it?
Well, because
Before
of the
the
master
mayor?
plan, yeah, usually we go through goals and objectives, so it'd probably be in March after the city council adopts what they want to do. So I think if I remember back like March is probably when we did it. Yeah, I don't wanna make up stuff, so.
I know, but we should establish a schedule where it's
Absolutely,
constantly just published
Absolutely.
on whatever
Automatic.
date and.
So what I advise communities is that the council should get planning commission's input
For goals and
early
objectives.
enough so that they can allocate, money during the budgeting process for any projects the planning commission might say they wanna do. Like, we wanna do a master plan update, okay? So then the council can allocate, $400,000 to update the master plan or something like that.
I agree.
Maybe not that much.
So that's usually February, so we could start on it in January, so, agree. And it should be, when Mr. King said he was trying to do it just to follow the rule, it's like, well, let's make it real. You should have your input and say, what about these projects? Doesn't mean city council is gonna accept them, but I don't want it to be a rubber stamp. We would want you to say, hey, in alignment with our master part, we wanna do more parks things, so give your recommendation. So we would owe you a full-on report from McKenna on what staff thinks and then what leading into city council's discussion. So it should be, it's a real thing. It's not just a rubber stamp.
And it's also a review of what was done, correct? So
Correct.
it will
Like
recap
a
what
planning.
happened this past year in development and.
And I guess question for the planner, John. The way at least I took it or understood it at the training, was this capital improvements plan was the domain of planning commission. But it sounds like council can do whatever they want with it, that, we really aren't the authority on it. I'm just wondering if the law agrees with that.
So, yeah, it's a working document. It's a way for the council to get input from the planning commission to make sure the projects, so the capital improvement plan is different than what we're talking about. So the capital improvement plan is a process where the city will circulate questionnaires to each of the department heads to figure out what kind of physical, large, long-term improvements the city wants to make. It could be things like expanding City Hall. It could be, major road or infrastructure improvements. So, Public Works gets involved with it. They're probably the biggest, contributor to the capital improvement plan. And then you list projects out for the next 6 years, and then you figure out how you're gonna fund them, but it just goes to the planning commission for review. Ultimately, it's a document that the council looks at and decides what they're gonna fund each year. So that's where the rubber meets the road, not the planning commission. You guys can't allocate money, so it's really what goes to the council for funding.
And we started that process in October, so we've already had our department heads do that. We're going to that. Then it goes to the Budget and Finance and the Asset Committee. We've missed the step of coming to the Planning Commission for years, and I think it's a good idea to have the Planning Commission involved, so we will certainly follow through quickly. You'll probably see it in January, quite frankly. Maybe even December. Even January, I'm sorry.
Any other questions? I just want to say one other thing too, is, we've got one vacancy because of Ms. Clauser. And then it sounds like we might have another one.
Correct.
Coming up in 2026 as well. So, it's, again, this goes for everyone. This is not finger pointing or anything. It's so important to make sure we attend the meetings because we gotta be here for the applicants, make sure there's a quorum. I know life gets in the way and listen, gonna miss one here or there, that's fine. But, the other thing too is, I know there was some discussions on city council about design standards, and that's been a big issue in some of our conversations. I think, Dan, you even brought it up tonight about, is it section 2601, I believe. And I think maybe in 2026, maybe a goal and objective of planning ought to be to come up with something, standardize some of those, look at some best practices in other communities. I know, David, you had talked about some other cities that do this thing. So think about stuff that we want to do in 2026 moving forward, that, touch on some of those issues that we've dealt with over the past couple of years here.
And if I may, and more than that even, we haven't got through the zoning process yet. City council hasn't. So that's the first thing we need to do, because that locks the master plan and the future land use plan in. Then Vidya's talked about, because we wrote the whole zoning ordinance, we still, Attorney Crott and her have gone over it with John, There's so many discrepancies in there, just because that's how zoning ordinances are. They conflict with sign ordinances, this or that. So we need to flush all that out with you all. So we should probably just have a separate meeting to talk about legislative stuff. How do we follow the rules on capital approval? How do we do some of these things that you guys got in the training with Vidya? So, it should be simple. It hasn't been for some reason in this town. I don't know why. But we would like to get it back on track also. So there's good input, appropriate input, and that doesn't happen. I don't like what happened to this gentleman, but,
Madam Mayor, go ahead.
Okay, and I know we're running over here. So my thought, and I'm gonna throw this out there and see if it's possible, I think that there are so many things in that zoning map that need to be addressed, that already was approved at planning, and now it's coming to council. Can we kick it back to planning? I was told we could kick it back to planning. I mean, there are so many things that
there's
we
not that many.
feel, there is so many things that we don't feel is correct on the zoning map.
I don't know if that's for you guys to make the decision, not the plan. They know those. They chose not to agree with what you got. They don't know what you think yet, but that is your responsibility at city council to make those decisions, and they have to live with the ramifications of what you guys do. I mean, if you kicked it back, you would be influencing the planning commission to change their minds. That's not how this process works. It's like they give you their recommendation, like a zoning. They could say, we recommend, we don't want you to do the zoning, but when it gets to city council, you can do it. So, you agree, John? I mean, you guys have done your job at the planning commission here, and it would be disrespectful to say, we don't like what you did, do it differently. They made their decision. So I get it's uncomfortable, but that's why there's a process to go through.
But I suppose, though, is it comes to city council where it's at presently, right, kind of in limbo. If there's not 4 votes to pass it, then it dies, right? And then it does eventually come back. Is that what you were trying to say?
No, but yes.
Leave that one to John and
That's
Jeff,
an end result
yeah.
that would
Yeah.
happen, yeah.
You know, we would work with the council to figure out how to get the votes to get it approved.
Right.
You know, so if we need to tweak it, if we need to modify it, if we need to, you know, demonstrate why certain things are proposed the way they are, or dive deeper into it, I think, you know, Nick's saying that it's past planning commission, it's council's bite at the apple, you know, you can take it across the finish line.
Right.
I think that's what the point is.
But I would, now I see where you're going. So if you said, hey, 4 of these 7, we don't like, I think respectfully, we could come back to the planning commission and say, here's why we didn't like those, would you reconsider it? And try that way instead of.
Right, and
I follow you, I follow you, yeah.
You gotta do the vote.
It'd be nice to have
Yeah, and
consensus
that
between the
would
two
be
groups.
disrespectful, I think,
I
going through
understand.
that makes
Right.
sense to me.
Procedurally,
Right.
you don't get the votes, then it would have to come back.
And then to
Yes.
reconsider, correct,
Right.
I would agree with that.
Okay.
Sorry.
Jeff popped up, do you want to say something, Jeff?
Not on that, just an administrative issue.
Go right ahead, Mr. Crott.
On the calendar, I noticed that it says Monday, May 5. I just was going through those dates, and I think it's Monday, May 4 is the correct day. So I know planning commission took action to approve it, so I think if that correction can be made.
We did. Brian, would you note in the minutes to change that to correspond with the accurate date, whether it's May 4th or, is it May 5th, Jeff? May 4th?
It's May 4. It says May 5th on the paper.
All right, so Star Wars Day.
That's right.
Okay. Okay, wonderful. Okay, any other questions or comments? Gentlemen on this side, you're good? Mr. Banda?
Good, thank
Ms. Jackson, you're good?
Yep.
Okay, we'll see you next year,
You got it.
right? Yep. Okay.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.